Hello, everybody, and welcome out to episode 83 of the Pod of War Gamescast. I am your host, EOF Gizmo, joined this week by Massive Das Chris Pengelly.
Hello, everyone.
And PlayStation Plus, Extra, Premium, and Essential member, it's Craig Warren.
Hello.
So, boys, it's been a couple of weeks. We took a well-rehearsed and well-planned break to play
sabbatical.
the sabbatical.
That's what the cool kids call it.
It's a Pep Guardiola sabbatical.
Yeah.
Just to talk, so we can play some of the video game we're going to talk for the topic of the show. But before we get to the topic of the show, let's talk about everything else that we've played and purchased in the intervening time. So let's start off this week with Craig Warren. What have you bought? What have you played other than the main topic? There you
go. Bought nothing, I don't think, other than the topic.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think we should count because I did buy it. I guess.
I think we all did it.
I actually turned the Switch on a little bit, boys.
Yeah.
Unbelievable, Jeff.
Yeah, first time in a little while. Went back to some Mario 3D World. I know you said 3D All Stars, but that's something completely different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Went back to Mario 3D World. I've now rolled credits.
Woo.
I was quite close anyway before I kind of took another little break from that. So I've done the final world of the main game. I've unlocked the bonus levels now, boys. They're a bit hard, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
What's that all about?
There's the real video game, as the kids say.
What's that? I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. I was like, I don't know if I.
Well, Mario has always been hard, but
yeah,
people choose to forget this because Dark Souls is hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I don't know. I've done a couple of the levels, but it really kind of like it kind of goes against how I play the Switch. Because the Switch is my in bed, handheld, feet up. Like the last thing I want is fucking be sweaty. Actually trying, boys. Christ.
Right.
So I might go on. I might do Bowser's Fury, and then if I could be bothered, go back and do the bonus levels. I don't know. Are they actually worth doing, boys, or is it just?
There's some really good ones. Yeah, you unlock another character.
I unlocked Rosalina.
Okay, so you've unlocked Rosalina. Yeah. It's difficult, right? Because I would not recommend you complete the game because it asks you to do a lot of things you don't want to do. To complete the game, yeah, like you have to beat every level, getting the top of the flagpole with all the characters, and get all of the start. I wouldn't go that far, but I think.
So I've unlocked the first of them. Do you have to get more shit to unlock the second?
Yeah, I think what you do is you play until you get to a level that frustrates you to the point at which you don't want to play anymore, and then be done with it. Because that's platformers, especially without achievements and stuff, right? Like there's no need to push through if you're not enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Bowser's Story is a few hours long anyway, isn't it, Pengy?
It's about 8 hours long.
So I'm told that's the best bit.
The similar sort of thing. Once you finish it, there's a little bit, and I think even after you finish that, there's a bit after that which I didn't do because what you get, you unlock something which is then pointless because you've already 100%ed everything. It's like, why do I need this now?
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously you get your credits. You're like, I've kind of done it, and you're like, and then I like it, but I don't like it as much as I did Kirby because I think I did all the bonus levels on Kirby, even though they're quite difficult. But I like that a lot more, so I guess I probably have more patience for it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I might just go on to Bowser's Fury and then come back and do like you say, just get as far as I can, and then give up when I want to. They are bloody tough.
It gets really platformer, doesn't it? I think that's the difference because Kirby isn't really a platformer. It's more of an adventure game. But the Mario games, when you get to those star levels and special levels, just go, right, well, this is now ultra platformer mode, so go nuts. And you're like, I see, death.
I don't think it helps that, I don't think the perspective on that game is the best either. I'm guessing it's because it's isn't it a remake of a remaster of an old-ass game?
No, the problem with it is it's a sequel to a 3DS game.
Yeah.
And obviously 3DS is all about 3D, hence the name. hence the 3D in the name of that game. And I think, and even at the time on Wii U, I think we had the same complaints, me and Chris, when we talked about it in the original version of the podcast. It just doesn't do perspective well. Like I used to misplace jumps all the time.
I have no idea where I'm landing 90% of the time.
Which is why
I'll go to land on something's head and I'll just like die straight away.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Which is why I'm really glad that in, say, like Crash 4, for example, that I've been playing myself, has a like circle underneath you at all times, which is where you are. So like you can like see it, right? Because that's the problem. But yeah, no, I get that frustration completely.
Yeah. So actually, I'll hopefully play some more of that. Because I want to get the new Mario this year, boys. Really. So
God, that looks good.
That.
I said to Pengi, I watched the direct for that earlier. And I've had that game pre-ordered since it got announced, but I'm actually genuinely very excited to play that game now. I've been trying to stay away from it, and I got prompted I got a notification through, so I was like, oh, I love me a Mario game. Especially, I prefer 2D. I know I'm one of the few people that do, but yeah, really excited for Super Mario Wonder.
Yeah, I've not seen a great deal. I know Jeff and Mike will talk about it on their podcast. Of like, I'm guessing they previewed it.
They did,
and actually played it, and they were saying that it's actually a lot better than the last 2D Mario as well.
Which is funny because I really like those 2D Mario games. Like people really hate on the new Super Mario Bros. Games.
Oh yeah, new Super Mario Bros. U was so boring.
But I like, again, I think the problem is, and I know I said this to Pengi when we got them, but I didn't play the Wii one. So like for me, like I played the DS one in like 04 or whatever, and then I went to this Wii U one, which is just HD, and I was like, this is great. Like this is such a good, like well-designed game. Like I don't understand why everyone hates on it. So if it's a lot better than that for me, like that's very exciting.
Oh, it looks better from what we see.
Right.
So.
It's not because Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Craig, where the whole game is the final world. My God, that game is hard.
that game always looks good, but that's the one caveat.
It's so funny because people go like, oh yeah, Nintendo, right? It's be pretty easy. And then you play Donkey Kong. It's like F-Zero, right? When everyone gets tricked into playing F-Zero. Like, oh, it's just like Mario Kart, right? And then you play it and you're like, oh, sweet mother of God.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that was it for my little Switch comeback again. It's about the 6th little comeback the Switch has had at this point.
Which means I think it means it's not coming back anymore. I think it's there, Craig. I think you've accepted it into your life.
It lurks in the background,
It's so weird because like Switch for me, it's like even more dust than my PlayStation. I think at the moment.
I think
the move on to the PlayStation next.
I was going to say
it's still not set up. I was going to say
has that been set up? At this point, Craig, your fucking purchasing warranty has run out. At this point, if it's broken now, it's on you.
It's sat there. Obviously, something else has come out, and then that's really derailed that. Now, maybe I can get that finished at some point within the next 5 years. I get the game we're going to talk about, and then and then maybe that can get set up and I can play some Spider-Man. That'd be great, right? And then the other thing I played on Xbox, other than what we talk about, is I finished Star Wars.
Hell yeah!
So I went back and listened to. I can't remember where I got to on it last time we did the podcast, and I remembered that last time was when me and Dave speed ran.
We did.
But
Everyone's favorite section.
I thought when I went back and listened, I was at the final boss, but I remember it wasn't actually the final boss. It was actually nowhere near the final boss. And I've done that and carried on. And God, boys, the end of that game is fucking incredible. It's so good. The story, because I think the story before you get to the proper end is quite middling. It's a lot of you need to go here and pick this up, and it feels very video gamey.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a lot of there's 3 of these you need to go and get, so go get them at these different places and bring them back, and then you get to the actual end and it's like, oh my God, this is incredible. And it's so good. I'm so happy that because this is all canon in the actual Star Wars universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm so happy this exists in that universe. It's so good.
They are working on another one, Craig, so don't worry.
Oh, I know they've already started. They should probably make this one run a little bit better before they do that. Which I think they might have actually done. In fairness, I'm pretty sure there's a big.
There has been a patch now. Yeah, it's. I think unfortunately that the nature of them having to put these games out as quickly as they can, because I played Jedi Fallen Order way later than you guys did and had none of the issues that you guys did, and it's going to be the same with this, I think.
I see. I was the same. I didn't play Fallen Order until it came out on the One X,
Mm,
and I had like Silky Smooth, whereas I know that was obviously pretty ropey when it first came out, and obviously Survivor was pretty ropey when I played it. And it sounds like it might now be fixed,
hell
maybe,
yes.
possibly. Question mark. I think Digital Foundry are looking at it again or something, so maybe they'll do another video, and well, they might have already done another video at this point, and give their assessment on it. But yeah, it's a great game regardless. And I think Dave waiting and eventually getting to it at some point, maybe when it gets to EA Play or whatever, is probably the wise move, because I'm sure you're going to get the best experience in terms of performance out of it. Yeah, it's a great game, and yeah, I said it's the ending is just like chef's kiss. It is fantastic.
Hell yeah.
And that's it from me, other than Starfield basically.
Okay, well, before we get to mine, I've just remembered, Craig, and I haven't got my phone near me, so I'm going to do this live on the podcast. Disney Plus is running a promotion at the minute. You get 3 months for £1.99 a month. So if you want to do that, I think it's another week. You've got to do it, because that's what I've done, so we can watch Ahsoka all the way through.
To do that.
But yeah, just remembered that, and I haven't got my phone.
I haven't watched Mandalorian.
Oh, there you go. You can have a right binge, can't you?
Exactly. Yeah, I'll probably do that.
Lovely. Right. Well, we'll go on before we get to the big dog, which is obviously everyone's favourite part of the show. We'll talk what I've done. So in terms of purchasing, the only purchasing I've done other than the Starfield Premium upgrade, which of course we'll talk about later, is I'm now finally the proud owner of a 4K monitor. Because
it's about bloody time, Dave.
So I'm like, it's really funny because people get really confused when I talk about this, like to my friends or like people at work, and I'm a very techie guy, and when it comes to video game consoles, like I need it day one, right? Like me and Pengy are always the worst. Like Craig, we'll lie to Craig all the time, but like we won't buy it when it comes out, and me and Craig, Pengy go there lining up.
Yeah,
digital.
No, we pre-order.
We've normally pre-ordered, right?
Really stupid,
right? So like we just can't help ourselves. But I've never been that way with TVs. Never been that way with TVs. But I was working from home, and I've got a work provided monitor that obviously is from the council, and it just isn't very good for my work. Like it really isn't, like it's not big enough for like I have to split my screen in half, so I have to like scroll. It's really annoying, right? And I have like I work from home for 3 days a week. I have to type emails and shit all the time. It's really frustrating. So I was like, well, I need to buy a new monitor, because why not? And I saw a really good one on a deal. That was 4K HDR. It was 27 inches. Like it's perfect for what I want it for. And obviously the byproduct is I've hooked my Xbox up to it. So yes, finally got a 4K monitor. I can't go back now, boys. To be honest, it looks great. It looks absolutely amazing.
So when you start watching like 4K movies as well, and that's oh my god, what have I been doing?
I can't find my Lord of the Rings anymore, Craig. So I'll have to purchase the UHD ones, won't I?
Oh yeah, that's an excuse.
What an excuse! It's Christmas coming up, so who knows? But
exactly.
But as for video games, so I haven't bought any video games, obviously, because why would I? On PlayStation, I have played nothing at all. I actually found my PlayStation TV in a box, so I might put that on eBay. But yeah, that's the closest I've come to playing a PlayStation game, is actually setting the thing up. On Switch, I have started Dragon Quest 11. Or Dragon Quest 11 Definitive Edition S, or what the hell it's called.
Heroes of Elusive Age. The Elusive Age, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah.
I know my anime, boys.
You're the biggest anime weeb of all of us, Gregor. But yeah, that one's been in my backlog for a while, so I was like, oh, well, I need a Switch game to play now that I finished Sparks of Hope. So I was like, well, I'll play that for a bit. I'm really enjoying it. It's the most traditional JRPG in the world. Looks gorgeous on the OLED. It's a fun game if you like turn-based RPGs. I highly recommend what I've played so far. And obviously I've played some Mario Kart, because if I'm near the Switch, Mario Kart needs to be played, doesn't it? On Xbox, obviously I've played the main thing that we're going to talk about once Chris has done his bit. But the only other thing I've been playing is more Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time.
COD.
I actually haven't played any COD, but that's purely because I haven't played a lot. I haven't played many hours of video games in the last 2 weeks, and quite a high percentage of that is Starfield, which is a shooter. So I was like just testing. To be honest with you, I was just testing the screen out, and I was like, "Oh, Crash is going to look really pretty," and it does. So yeah, I'm a few more levels into that. I think I'm on the last world, but it's hard. It's really hard. It's like that game gets like 3D world difficult like 3 worlds in. But you have unlimited
Savage.
lives, so it's not too bad. But yeah, it's a pretty brutal game. I mean, I still think it's an incredible game. It's really, really good. It's probably the second best Crash platformer, in my opinion. It's close now. I'd have to have a real thought about 2, 3, and 4, which order I like them.
Well, 3 is the best. So
I
that's
prefer
sorted.
3, but I think 2 is probably the better game because it has less extra stuff. Like it's more platformy. But 4 is right in there. Like 4 is as good as those 2 games. Like it's a lot better than Twin Sanity, and it's a lot better than Wrath of Cortex and Crash of the Titans and Mind of a Mutant or whatever, right? So, but yeah, really good game. And then obviously the only other game I've played is Starfield, which we'll talk about at some length in a moment. But that's my entire video game purchasing this week. I cannot imagine I'm going to purchase anything now until Mario Wonder, which is next month, right? Because I don't think I'm going to finish Starfield by then, to be honest.
No.
But Pengi, what are the fans
Yes.
are here for? What have you bought? What have you played this couple of weeks?
So
It's the end of backlog season, Pengi, right? That ended was
Yeah.
it on Friday.
It did.
Oh,
The
no, last
first.
Friday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Last Friday.
So on Nintendo, I have bought nothing and played nothing.
Wonderful.
Fuck the Switch.
This is what I'm saying. The Switch has been gathering dust for quite a while now. I'm not sure what the last game I finished on Switch. As
It was Disney Illusion Island.
Illusion Island,
Yeah.
yeah. So I can't remember when that came out. Was that August? So it wasn't that long
Must
ago.
have been August, right?
Yeah. So actually, it might have even been the month before. It might have been late July. I think it was late July. Actually, so that's that. On retro and like Evercade and stuff like that, I've bought nothing and played nothing.
Lovely.
Yep. On
That's the
PlayStation,
cheapest 2 weeks Christmas ever had at this point.
so PlayStation, I have played nothing, but I have bought something.
Oh, here we go.
I've bought the Spider-Man 2 DualSense.
And how is
Okay.
the Spider-Man 2 DualSense, Pinky?
It looks good. I don't know. The buttons and that should feel all good and triggers, but I wouldn't know because I've not played my PlayStation. So,
Are you tempted by the plates?
no, I'm not tempted by the plates.
Oh, okay.
The controller
That's
is
nice.
fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you want your calculator out because what I did, I went into game and I gave them my copies of Immortal of Avium, which I don't think I finished last podcast, which I finished. Really enjoyed that game. Highly recommend it. I don't think a lot of people will want to pay 60 quid for it like I did.
would imagine it's already dropped significantly without even looking.
But if you could find it, well, the thing is, it's going to come to EA Play as an EA game. So even on PlayStation, you can, do a month subscription for 8 quid, and obviously it's part of Game Pass Ultimate. So I think that's how most people will wait to play it. But if you wanted to play it now, maybe sub 30 quid or something like that. For like a
You can buy it
current
on
gen
Music
only game.
Magpie for $24.99 on PS5.
Really?
Mhm.
I got 37 quid trade in for it.
There we go.
So yeah, buy it for $24.99 and see if games still give 37 quid for it. So yeah, I traded that in towards my DualSense. So that's it. I bought the Starfield Premium upgrade on Xbox, and I bought because Craig will remind me there is another pickup for Xbox. I bought there's a download title, Under the Waves, on Xbox.
Okay, and how is Under the Waves?
Pretty good. It was the game after finishing Immortals, I was like, oh, Starfield's not long away. I want a game to play in between. Watched or Under the Waves. I seen Chris Scullion reviewed it for VGC, gave it like a decent score. Seen a few other previews saying it's a bit like Firewatch but under the water. Love Firewatch. It's great. That's a great game, and it sort of is like you play as a guy that's having like problems at home, so he wants to get away from things. But instead of going to be a park ranger, this time you want to go under the sea, but under the waves, because there's already a game called Under the Sea, and the Disney song, I guess, as well. Sort of thing. Yeah. So you go do little missions. You have a guy call you over the radios, a bit like Firewatch. We had Delilah. This is like you got Tim, and Tim like your first mission is to go clean algae off this monitor or something, and that's like your first day of like work on the job. And then obviously the story progresses and stuff like that, and actually goes some dark places and stuff in the story. Like I said, the guy is trying to get away from things, and obviously that is touched on in the story. Yeah, really enjoyable. It does run like poo though. Even though it's an Xbox One game and a PS4 game, that's obviously like backwards compatible. Like it's like 30 frames. It's got really bad screen tearing. I made a joke that's actually the ways, you know, the ways not actual screen tearing, but it does run not great. There's a physical version as well, so you can maybe buy it physical for 25 quid, then obviously like trade it in or sell it right away, sort of thing. But yeah, it was a enjoyable in between game, if that makes sense.
Is this made by the Heavy Rain guys, or am I getting confused?
No, it is published by the Quantic Dream.
Oh, okay.
It is made by a French studio, but it's not them.
Oh dear, Dave's interest just went a French walking simulator.
Right, I mean, I couldn't imagine a worse hell.
It's not that French though. That's the kind of disappointing of it. And it's weird also to say it's like a walking simulator because the game's it's weird because like Firewatch is obviously in first person. It does feel this being in third person. You're driving around in your little submarine and stuff. Most of the time, it's like it is a walking sim because you're just going to the place, doing like a few interactions and stuff like that. But it's like feels different due to perspective and using like the submarine and stuff like that. And you can upgrade your submarine and all that if you do all the collectibles and things like that. I did not do all the collectibles. There's a lot of collectibles in the under the sea, under the waves.
Lovely.
Are there any boats in it, or is it just submarines?
And there's just a little submarine. Oh, there is a boat, I guess, at the end, sort of thing. And there's boats
Did
under.
that ruin it for you?
No, and there's boats under the water that have sunk as well. But
I've got a question for you, Chris.
Yeah.
Obviously, I know that no one could make you step foot on a boat.
Mm.
But would you step foot on a submarine?
Not really. No.
No.
Surely that's
I'm
like
glad that's been cleared up on this video game podcast.
Yeah, but this is
I
like
just need to know
man.
Chris's stance on submarines. I know his stance on boats.
This is just like a little one-man submarine thing.
Okay.
But you live in like this little hut under the waves, sort of thing, and you go to one later, for instance, that's been flooded and all that sort of thing. So
Lovely, Pengy. Well, other than Under the Waves,
Mm.
is there anything else you've bought or played before we talk about Starfield?
Nope, it was actually quite a quiet 2 weeks, and like I said, the biggest purchase was the DualSense, which it's not had any use. But, waiting for that October 20th, I guess, for Spider-Man.
God, I mean, October is Mario season for old Dave, so I don't think Spider-Man.
We've got to do a Games of October podcast just before that, because October's mental.
Yeah, October's pretty stacked. I mean, the 20th of October is pretty stacked, to be honest with you, let alone.
Yeah.
You've had a few things like move around, like Alone in the Dark is now gone to January, totally missing the chaos that is October. So,
hell yes. Well, we're not going to talk about October, Pengy. We're going to talk about September's game, which is of course Starfield from Bethesda and Xbox Studios, which has been added to Game Pass. All three of us purchased the premium upgrade. Did you get it physically, Craigo, or just digitally?
No, I went digitally because I remembered I still had a £25 gift card. So I slapped that bad boy in there. And I think there was some sort of like discount for Game Pass.
There's always 10% good discount for Game Pass on DLC.
So that and the £25 off, it was like £8 or something like that.
Yeah,
which is lovely stuff, isn't it?
It's a great deal. And obviously, me and Pengy got the physicals, which were steelbooks and a patch, which goes along nicely with the Redfall upgrade pack, which I have, which is the same, but obviously for a much worse game. So yeah, I don't really know how so this is basically our first impressions of Starfield, because we've definitely not played enough to call this a review of Starfield, because it's too much. But yeah, if we go through how much we've played and our thoughts with it, we'll start with me because I've definitely played the least. According to True Achievements, I've played 8 hours and 2 minutes of my time. Not really played too many Bethesda games before. I think the most played Bethesda game for me before this was probably Skyrim, and that was to about 30-40 hours, and I never finished it. So not a big Bethesda guy, to be honest with you, but yeah, I'm really enjoying this. It feels like a really serious version of Outer Worlds crossed with No Man's Sky, if you can imagine such a thing. But yeah, I'm really enjoying the game. I just think the mission structure is really fun and addictive. I think the game looks fantastic. I think it's quite a freeing game. You can kind of do what you want, and yeah, I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty impressed with it so far. So that's my little intro. Obviously, we're not going to talk about spoilers this time. When we finish it, we'll do a spoiler cast maybe, and give our like proper final thoughts. But for now, we'll just talk spoiler free. So, Craigo, what are your first impressions of Starfield?
I mean, I think the Outer Worlds comparison is definitely a thing.
Mhm.
It feels like a more serious, much higher scope, more ambitious version of Outer Worlds, I'd say.
Yeah,
And quite a bit of like cyberpunk in there as well.
right. I've not played
Um,
Cyberpunk, so I have like no reference for that.
yeah, but just the way like you stay in, like, I know you can switch out of first person to third person, but it's the way you stay in first person pretty much the whole time. When you interact with NPCs and that, it does definitely get a cyberpunk vibe to it. I think I'm about 32 hours in, so I've played a fair old chunk. I think I'm level 24. I started off as my character as a combat medic. With some of the, I'm trying to think of my traits. So I think I had the kid stuff on where I get the parents.
Nice.
The extrovert one, which so that I can have my companions with me and I do more damage or whatever it is. And I think I'm with one of the religious traits as well, just to see how that plays out. I've been really enjoying it so far. I played like an hour on the day it came out, and then I didn't play it over the weekend because I had work, and I think I played like another couple hours on Monday, and I was like my first like 3 hours, like, oh, this is okay, but I'm not really like massively getting it.
Yeah,
And then like on the Tuesday, I had like one big session of it, like it completely. I was like, oh, this is it now. I'm in. It's got me. I think it was like I started playing it after dinner at like 6 o'clock, and I literally next thing I know, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, what's just happened? Where have those 8 hours just gone? Like, why am I not dead right now? Because it's so easy just to get lost in like these strings of quests.
yeah,
And
yeah. That's a really good way to describe the quest. Strings. It's such a
yeah,
string.
it is. It's like a web. It
Hmm.
really is. It all just kind of like the quests just flow together so seamlessly. You will be doing a quest for a faction, let's say, and you'll go somewhere you haven't been before, and you'll just be wandering around, and like the random NPCs will suddenly start talking to you, and they're, oh yeah, you should go talk to this person because they've got something going on or whatever. And it just like, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll do that once I've done this. Then you would go do that quest. You just spoke to that person. You'd be like, oh, I need to sell some shit at a store, and you go to a store and sell some shit, and then there want you to do something. It's so easy just to go from quest to quest to quest to quest, and just like lose hours and hours into this game. Uh, it is very easy to get completely off track as well. That's one thing I will say. Like, I don't think I'm very far in the story. I basically got to the point where it branches out and you have 3 different quests you can choose from. I've done that bit and I've done one more mission. That's pretty much all I've done with the story. I've mainly been doing like the faction quests and then doing like some of the other like side quests that aren't quite as long. I think I've done all of the, is it the UC Vanguard, one of the first ones you come across. Done all of those quests. I started the pirate one, and I'm started doing like the cowboy one now, basically the ranger one, which they are all like fantastic as well. Like the UC Vanguard one is just it's brilliant. Like the fact that that's a side quest is just like mind blowing.
Right.
Because there's so much detail. There's so many like choices. It's crazy how much effort they've obviously put into that. So I would definitely recommend, like, if you're playing this, like, the idea of playing this and just playing the story would be insane, I'd imagine.
I
You
think
would
you
be
get level
missing
gated
out on
pretty quickly
everything.
as well. Like because I was kind of my intention was to basically do just sort of like the main story to begin with, and then I found myself level gated quite quickly, and I was like, oh, I suppose I'll do a side quest, and then I have not stopped. Like I've only been on like 3 planets in my 8 hours because I've just been doing side quests that require me to go back and forth to these planets. Like I haven't been to like Neon yet, for example, and that's not a spoiler because they've shown that in the trailer. Like I've not been
Yeah.
anywhere near that yet. I think I've got a quest which is telling me to go there, But like I've been like, well, I've got to do all of the mining stuff in Mars, and then I'm like, well, I've done that, but I need to go to wherever to do this UC bit, and it's like, oh god, like I don't like I feel like I haven't done any of the mainline quests yet.
Yeah, so I've been trying to do it like almost like settlement by settlement to try and keep
Yeah.
it somewhat less underwhelming. So I've been, all right, I try and knock off as many side quests as I can in the first settlement you come across, which is New Atlantis, and then you go to is it Cydonia? It's called on Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I've knocked off a load of quests there. Like there's there's a really good one where you help some miners, get some equipment, and that sounds like I started that quest and it sounds like the most boring, crappy quest ever. And it starts off really bad because you just like, oh, go mine some crap. You're like, brilliant, and then it turns into this like 2 hour long quest which sends you all over the place, and it's all sorts of like story and conspiracies and God knows what going on, and decisions. So I think I've knocked off most of Sardonia, and then I think the next big settlement I went to is it Aquila? It's called the cowboy
Aquila
place.
City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've been trying to stay there and do as much as I can there. I have been to Neon twice because you had to go there for a story mission. I think I had to go there for a ranger mission as well. But I tried to like just stay on the path I need to be on Neon. But even just doing that, like wandering around, I think I have like 8 side missions unlocked in Neon already, just from where like random NPCs will talk to you. So I'm already like, God, when I get to Neon, there's gonna be a lot to do there. But I'm loving it so far. I have played the only other first game I guess I played is Fallout 4, which I did finish, which I liked, but I wouldn't say like loved. Like it would probably, like when we eventually do our top 100 video thing that we're doing, it will probably be in mine, but I don't think it's gonna be like very high. It'd probably be like closer to 100 than it is to 1, let's say.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is like a massive improvement on that in terms of like the gunplay is like far and away better. It looks so much better. Like the environments are like brilliant, and the lighting's brilliant. I will say the NPCs are awful.
Yeah.
Like they are laughably bad. Some of them, like it is mind blowing.
They do have Professor Eye.
Yeah, it's mind blowing that like that is a thing, and they all just wander around aimlessly as well. Like there's no, like, it seems to spawn way too many of them in as well, which is part of the problem I feel. Because if there was less of them wandering around, you maybe wouldn't notice them as much. But it spawns so many in, and they look so bad, and they just wander around aimlessly. It is so funny watching them jankily walk around, looking absolutely terrible. But like other than that. I know like people have moaned about the inventory system. I haven't found it too bad personally, but I don't know if that's because I've played Fallout 4 and I know
I don't think it teaches you much. That's my issue with the inventory system. Because I was like, oh, why am I so over encumbered all the time? And then I was like, oh, it's because I've got all these fucking resources.
The
like,
ship parts, Davey.
Like
that's what you need to make sure. Put your ship parts in your ship because they are so heavy.
I've got like 48 lead. No wonder I'm so fucking heavy. So I'm like, well, I'll fly back to my ship and I'll put it in my cargo hold, and then like,
yeah. So yeah, I've not found it as much issue as some people.
Companion.
Yeah, you can use your companions as mules. Obviously, there are things that it doesn't tell you as well. Like we talked about in our chat last night, like the whole favoriting weapons and equipment.
Yeah, to make a weapons
like
wheel.
Luckily I found this out quite early because I was watching someone else play. It might have been kind of funny when they were doing their like long ass stream, and I saw them do it, and I was like, how the fuck do they do that? And then I figured it out myself. But it does not teach you to do that particularly.
No, because I was like, surely there's a way to change weapons quicker than this. And then I hit the favorite button, then I was like, oh, I see. This is what they want me to do. And they must have told us that when you set the med packs up. But obviously, I just clicked through it because who likes reading balls of text, eh? But
yeah, it does throw a lot at you as well to start with. And in terms of again, like compared to Fallout, like how like framey Fallout was, I'd say this is much better. I find it does chug a little bit in the settlement sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's right. I haven't encountered any issues at all.
A couple of times where I've had my one big issue, and it is before we started this. I'm on the final mission of like the pirate faction, and something didn't load in, and it's like great. And every time I loaded that save just before that, it didn't load in, so I had to load a save slightly before it. It was only like 5-10 minutes extra talking to some NPCs, and then the bit I've got to, it has loaded in now, but that's the only issue I think I've had
Okay.
in my play at the
That's
moment.
fair.
Yeah, I'd say I've been fairly like bug free so far. I think the only, no, I don't think I say it's a bug, but like I do find that they will sometimes have multiple people talking at you once. You're like, one of you just shut up, please, just
Yeah.
stop.
Mm.
That can be annoying. I guess you could just not have companions with you if that is something you find particularly.
There is a
overpowering.
trait or something to do with no companion. I think I haven't
Yeah,
got
the
it, but
introvert trait. Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, no, I mean, even the companions I'm really liking. Like I've been like switching through them quite a lot.
Yeah.
I've gone back to having Sarah with me, which I think is like the first one you unlock.
Yeah.
No, is it Barrett the first one? But it's
No,
the
Sarah.
main woman.
It's Vasco technically, then Sarah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I've had her with me for a while, and now I've actually unlocked like one of her missions from like her backstory, which is quite cool. So I'm looking forward to going back and doing that, because that's very Outer Worldsy, because they had a lot of that sort of thing going on.
Very Mass Effect. This is the most Mass Effect feeling game I've played since Mass Effect.
Yeah,
I would say, which you haven't played somehow,
no,
Craig,
agree.
but I think viewers might agree with me.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, Mass Effect's crazy near automata.
It is.
Yeah,
It's one of those where like I feel like going back to it is probably quite.
It's probably more
difficult at this point if
difficult.
you've
I
not
think
played it.
going back to Mass Effect 1 is difficult for people because it does feel like a game from 2007, but the story is incredible. But Mass Effect 2 and 3, I think you could play now and you wouldn't. I don't think you'd question it being a modern game. I think you'd be like, oh, fair enough. It came out last year. But hey, we're not talking about Mass Effect. Pengy, before we talk about anything else, what was your first impressions of Starfield?
Yeah, really good. So according to True Achievements, 37 hours and 2 minutes into the game.
God,
I have.
It's so evident that you two don't have girlfriends, by the way. I'm just not to be mean, but fucking hell, where have you found 30 hours from in the last 2 weeks?
I mean, I've been in a situation where I had
It's
a
not
week
even the
off,
last.
and
It's
it's
not
like
even.
30 degrees every day, and I'm like, I am not leaving this fan for love nor money. Like, fuck that. That's Starfield's been pretty much a constant.
I think the Xbox would heat my room up too much. I think that would be the final straw.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, 37 hours in. I'm level 29, and I've got 420 gamer score out of the 1,000 gamer score on it. Not as mad as Craig doing every side quest that comes to you, but I have got the do 30 side quests achievement and do the 30 missions achievement, mainly just through natural play, because I have done. There's 4 factions in the game, which is similar to because we did a podcast of games we hate, and I touched on Fallout 3 on that. So I'm going to go more to the Elder Scrolls, where you had guilds, so like you had the Thief Guild and stuff like that. In this, you got like the 4 factions. I have done 3 out of the 4, and I'm on the last mission of what would be the 4th faction, and that'll be all 4 faction stories done. And as Craig said, of like the UC one, yeah, it's really good. And then like the options going through stuff, like like the pirate faction, for instance, I joined that, got the thing, and later on in one of the main story quests, I've only done like 4 of the main story quests. And one of your companions gets like kidnapped, and when you get the dialogue options, it's like, oh, one of them is, I'm a member of the pirates, like you are. Just hand over the thing, and that's it. That's how I solved that mission by like, we're both in the same faction. I'm
That's
just going to
so
take
cool.
I'm just going to take the hostage in stead of you guys. Yeah, cool. And that's how I solved the mission. So stuff like
Sorry
that.
to
Cool.
sorry to cut in, but how did you get to the pirate mission, Peggy? Out of interest, because I think it's like different for a lot of different ways you can get in there.
I think most people was because they got arrested, but it wasn't. I'm just trying to think how. I think I started the UC one, and then I think I had 2 options to do things when I started the UC. I went down the one path first, and then I went to like their ship to go to the do the pirate one, because I think most times you get arrested and then clear your name.
Yeah,
Sort of thing.
I got arrested. I was doing another quest where I had to get some cargo back for someone that had been like locked up or something. And there's a persuasion you can do to get into the cargo. I failed it, so I lockpicked it and just went in and grabbed it and got arrested, and that's how I started it. But it sounds like there's quite a lot of different ways you can get into that quest.
Yeah, most
It's
probably
very
it's
much
just
Dark Brotherhood. That's what that sounds like.
Yeah, it's just like interesting. Like you got all, if you do so and so options. Even in the Pirate Quest, I think mission or two ago, it was on Neon, and has like done a different faction on Neon and done that quest. There was like one of the dialogue options was to do with like the Neon, like they're the business faction you call them, and like, oh yeah, I've got that option. I'm like, oh yeah, you do so and so, you can talk business and stuff like that. So it's like all interesting, like different points in the game where you do dumb things, and that will alter the playthrough. So if Dave, like, if you go do the pirate quest first, your business quest might be completely different to mine due to like dialogue options and that. So it's pretty cool. I did have you talking about Sarah. I have had her like her quest, I guess you want to call it, like the companion quest. I've done that, so I've got like I have the companion achievement, for instance, because she was the first one that gave me the quest. Plus, one of the other characters, everything I said she disliked, so I can not had the option to do her thing.
Is that
Yeah,
Andrea? Is that the
yeah,
one, the other one?
yeah, yeah. Um, Everything I say or do, she's like dislike, dislike. I was like, yeah, great. So,
We've all been
but
there,
then that's
Pengy.
also going to
Women are a
make
pain.
it like an interesting thing. Like, I might never get her side quest because everything I do, she dislikes. But Barrett's, for instance, I may get his side quest because I don't know I'm doing things he likes or something. So, who knows?
Yeah, it's a very it's just so big. I think we've said this a few times in our chat. It's like it's mind-boggling that it's as big as it is because I know I'm not as far in as you guys, but like you're talking about stuff that seems so beyond what I'm doing at the minute, and I'm level 10. Like I've played quite a hefty amount of the game really in terms of like what a normal video game, but it's like it feels like I'm in the tutorial still. Like it's crazy how big this is. Like I think achievement wise, I think you joked in the chat about us getting the completion, Pengy, but the more I look at it, the more I think it's actually quite a doable list.
Yeah, the thing looking like I'm missing how many? Like not one. Let's have a look.
There's a few like level ones that everyone is obviously like the level 100 one is what's dragging the TA score down at the minute, but the game has only
Yeah,
been
so I'm
out
Yeah.
gonna
2 weeks.
I'm gonna get 5 more just from obviously finishing all the like faction quests and the story. So that's gonna take me up to 33 out of 50. But then, yeah, like you said, it's the things like gather 500 inorganic resources. Going to be a bit of a
I'm sure give it another
day.
week or so, and Mako will have like
Mm.
easy like set up an outpost, and it just
Well, there's
automatically does
there's
that
already an
twice.
EXP one he's put up.
Yeah,
You
there
know,
you
you
go.
get to like level 100 in like 5 hours or something.
Yeah, I
Yeah, so
started
that will
watching
all
that, and I'm
be
like, yeah, I
easy.
might come back to that.
And it's like it's little
Later.
things like if you go to sleep before you complete a mission, because I do this now, you get a 10% boost on your EXP for being well rested.
Mm.
So like I do
Nice.
that all the time. Like anytime I did a mission where you go and you do something and there's a bed in the room of this like person you have to talk to. I just slept there for an hour, got my EXP boost, then talked to him. Like he was just in the room. He just watched me sleep for an hour. You know what I mean? And then it was a case of getting on with it. But yeah, I mean, like I said, this is really a first impressions video, so we will have a massive blowout. Probably, I honestly like I'll be surprised, but it's probably going to be like October at least, I think, before we can be sat here and come up with a plan. But yeah, it's crazy to me. I think our worries about this game have been sort of alleviated. Like I think it's a great game. I think it's the best Xbox Series X game. I don't think that's much of a controversial thing to say right now. As much as I love Forza Horizon 5, I still class that as an Xbox One game, really. But yes, I think it's
Yeah,
pretty
because
good.
this is this. I'm guessing this isn't on last gen.
No, it's
It was
just on
No.
delayed, right?
PC.
Yeah,
It's on this and
yeah.
PC.
Yeah,
So
doesn't surprise me.
it's ironically it's actually on Steam Deck. It's not on Xbox One. But I imagine
Where
it runs terribly on Steam Deck. But
where have you guys put your skill points as well? Out of interest, I found I've been going into like the tech tree for a
I'm a
while.
basic bitch. Like I've been getting the health one leveled up because I'm obviously
Yeah,
doing the challenges for that. Ballistics, shotguns. I've done some persuasion, that kind of stuff. I haven't really bothered too much with any of the flight stuff because I think that right now that's probably my least favorite part of the game, purely because I haven't had the chance to sit down and go right, let's build a ship. Let's figure this combat
I think
out.
it's the hardest part of the game. I find the
just bought
shooting
new
very
shoes.
easy, and then you get to the space bit, and you can get like overrun quite quickly.
Yeah.
So that's why I've been like trying to go into tech stuff. Like I want to make my ship not just die instantly.
Yeah.
With like the targeting system and stuff like that. But I like how like everything, like a lot of the mechanics in the game are like stuck behind the skill tree, which makes them when you level up, like it feels like a big decision.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like you're like right, like because you obviously you can't even like pickpocket to start with, and I don't think you can do stealth to start with. Like I still haven't unlocked like either of them. Just I've been focusing so much on like persuasion. I've been focused on the lock picking because the lock picking mini game is incredible.
It really
so
is very good.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's so good. So I've been trying to like streamline. Like I've been saving points just for ready when I've picked enough locks to unlock the next level. So I love that mini game so much.
Lovely. Anything to add, Pengy, before we end this part? We end this show.
Not that I can think of. No.
Lovely, but yes, we're all enjoying Starfield. Basically, is what we're saying.
Yes.
We will do a big blowout of Starfield in a few weeks, months' time, before the next game.
All about it. I would have got everything by then.
All right, well that's Chris Pengelly.
You were like,
me and
you
Craig
were
will
like,
do one.
Pengy, how's Starfield? Like, I'm playing Spider-Man.
Right, God, will Craig turn on his
Yeah.
PS5 by then? We'll see. But yes, thank you, boys, for having that Starfield chat, and thank you all for watching the podcast. Put in the comments if you're playing Starfield and what your impressions of it first time. Obviously, we're not going to score it or anything right now. We'll do that once we finish the game. But yes, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.
Bye.